If you haven't noticed, your friend Mr. Mobile has had a pretty busy week. Month. Jesus. In the hot foldable summer of 2023, I find myself reviewing the most significant Android in ages. On short notice, while traveling. And friends, that's exactly the kind of lifestyle the book-type foldable was built for. For the past 3.5 years, a Samsung Galaxy Fold has filled that need in my life. For a laptop when there isn't space for a laptop, a tablet when a phone isn't quite enough. Well, Google's new Pixel Fold turns the equation on its side. In a way that's been done before, yes, but this time, the company doing it is the company that makes Android. That means this device is different in ways both delightful and disheartening, and I think it was built to change the future of foldables. In the case of the Pixel Fold, the devil is in the directional details. See, by opening into landscape rather than portrait orientation, this phone immediately stands out from the tall and narrow Samsungs that until now enjoyed a North American monopoly on large foldables. Google says it based the Pixel Fold on a passport, but the moment I laid hands on it, I knew that what I was actually holding was a digital moleskin. And if you stay till the end of the video, you can see the leather skin that helps me complete that illusion. There's just something about this notebook-like ID that feels at once futuristic and accessible, in a way Samsung's remote control style design doesn't. Remember, that's coming from someone who's daily driven every Galaxy Fold since the beginning. Someone who never minded the confines of its cover screen, because as long as I had two hands free, I was always opening the phone. The Pixel Fold has kind of inverted that paradigm. I use it closed as a standard smartphone much more often, and I only open it when I want more room. If this sounds familiar, it's because I said a lot of the same stuff about Microsoft's Surface Duo, whose influence is most strongly felt right here. Foldables live and die on their hinges, and I love this one. Pick a posture and the phone stays there, which means you can emulate the ergonomic angles of side-sliding pocket PCs from a decade ago, or more practically, prop it up and watch a video at any angle you like. The phone's width works in its favor here, providing much more area for video than a Galaxy Fold does, and the speakers lend much more volume and definition to the soundscape than I'd expect from a phone this thin. The same width means the mini laptop mode, that you only ever see YouTube reviewers demo because it's so cramped, well, it's almost comfortable enough to be workable here. And, this is clever, by letting the hinge area free flood and sealing the two halves separately, Google has achieved IPX8 resistance to water, but not dust. The downside to this hinge is the double-wide bezel above and below the display, and a crease down that screen's centerline, second only to Samsung in its visibility. Also, the stainless steel construction probably adds to the mass of what is a very weighty phone. And the hinge's rigidity means if you want this Pixel to fold fully flat, you kind of need to force it. For me, those annoyances quickly faded in the shadow of a bigger complaint. The screen is incredibly reflective, which makes it dimmer in daylight. Also, there's a penalty to a no-gap design without a raised rub rail around the edge. It's the FODs. No, not the Friends of DeSoto. I'm talking about the foreign object damage that can result if something gets caught between the phone's two halves. Yeah, I'll link to Ars Technica's horror story about this, and also to this more positive news over at 9to5Google. Okay, enough about the bones of the thing. After a week on the Pixel Fold, what's it actually like to use? Well, to repeat what I said in the intro, it's different. The second you open an app on the main screen and the app realizes it's on a wide canvas instead of a tall one, it behaves differently. If the app has been built with a tablet mode, that's the best case scenario. Look at Google Calendar, or Substack, or Evernote, or the new Google Weather. You get columns, intelligent layouts. It's lovely. Sadly, though, most Android apps are built only for phone screens, which means they'll launch in pillar box, flanked by empty space on either side like an iPhone app running on an iPad in 2010. You can double tap to move it around, or you can turn the phone 90 degrees and sometimes the app will go full screen. And sometimes it won't. Now, if that seems frustrating and inconsistent, yeah, it kind of is. But I've got 3 reasons it's not entirely terrible. Great sales pitch, I know. The first reason is a strategic one. Google's been trying to get developers to adapt their apps to tablets since the days of the Nexus 7. By building its own foldable, it's demonstrating a commitment to a category that's definitely having a moment right now, which might represent an opportunity for developers to sell more apps if they look nice on folding phones. Of course, that didn't work on tablets, but even if we assume things never get better on this front, there's still reason to. A large screen is still compelling, even if you only optimize a handful of apps. Do you like actually seeing entire websites, even in their desktop versions? Chrome is great for that. Do you like watching videos in max quality and actually being able to pick up on the details? YouTube, Netflix, any video app. Do you like being able to spread out in a virtual workspace with your notes? Evernote. Do you like to dive into an ebook and feel like you're actually, reading a book? Amazon Kindle. The reality is that most of the apps many people spend much of their time in already make great use of a big screen like this. Even TikTok. And for all the non-optimized apps, well, there's a perfectly good cover display for that. And then there's reason 3. Why run one app when you can run 2 in twice the space? The Pixel Fold's added width is perfect for running 2 apps at once. In the past week, I've used it to fill out account information on an invoice, to take notes while examining photo samples, and to plan my schedule with someone over messaging. It's true that you can accomplish exactly the same thing on the Galaxy Fold by turning it sideways. And yeah, Samsung gives you even more options for running even more apps at once. Not to mention stylus support, which the Pixel doesn't have. So let's talk about the thing Samsung doesn't give you: a Pixel camera. Google says its aim with the Pixel Fold was to replicate the camera performance of the Pixel 7 Pro, despite the different hardware. But to my mind, the more important question is how it stands up to that Galaxy Fold 4. So I took them both on a 3-day, nautically themed, late Father's Day photo-taking joyride, from my New York City home port to Eastern Long Island to the wooden boat festivals and submarine museums of Southern Connecticut. And what I found will change everything. JK, LOL. No, it won't. The Galaxy almost always goes brighter, and it almost always slathers on the saturation with a paint roller. If your preference is better dynamic range and more natural colors, then you should pick the Pixel. Or to keep with the nautical theme, do you want to see all the shades of the different colors in the hull's different woods? Or all the detail on the hull plating of a submarine painted as black as night? Go for the Samsung. Would you prefer to pick out all the planks beneath the paint, or soak up the grain of the wood on the surrounding docks? Go for the Pixel. Do you want to remember the dreary day jetting across the sea as it was? Probably Pixel. Do you want to idealize it with bluer skies and deeper watercolors? Certainly Samsung. So, it's as easy as that, right? Same things I've been saying for years? Nope. You've got to be careful with generalizations because each of these is doing a lot of computational work to process these photos, and each will occasionally defy your expectations. That said, if you forced me to pick one for its camera, I would pick the Pixel. And for the sake of consistency, I'll give you 3 reasons again. 1, artsy shots. I'll admit it, I'm a sucker for a good long shot with a frame in the foreground. Google renders these scenes aboard the NYFD firefighter and from the Mystic Bank out to the Charles W. Morgan exactly as my eye saw them. Samsung wants to make everything outside far too blue. I also love me a good cheap trick, like Google's fake long exposure mode. Give me moving water and a Pixel and I am set for the afternoon. Number 2, zoom. In some situations, specs do matter, and the 5x telephoto camera Google fitted to the Pixel Fold, coupled with its mature computational processing, means the Pixel is the best foldable for zoom shots, at least here in the States. The Galaxy Fold 4 and its 3x lens just can't match the Pixel's reach here. And 3, low light. The Galaxy kept up with the Pixel better than I expected in night shots on the main shooters, which Samsung should be proud of. But when combining low light and zoom, the Pixel pulled ahead on the back of its superior optics once again. Whether it's East River telephotos or peering into the guts of a vintage torpedo, yeah, I'll take the Pixel camera. Oh, and I'll take it based on the interface, too. The Pixel is smart enough to know that if I set a timer, I probably only want to use it once, and it doesn't leave it enabled the next time I start up the camera. It also doesn't reset my lens selection when I switch between photo and video. Both of these major gripes of mine when it comes to Samsung. The 4K video performance will be familiar to anyone who's used a Pixel 7a, so I'm going to give my voice a rest while I run a few clips for you, and like the karaoke machine in my college bar used to say, have a good time. Oh, man. As crucial as the camera is to a Google phone, there are a host of other things that make a Pixel a Pixel. Photo unblur, Google Recorder with speaker labels, Now Playing, Google's VPN, call screening and call assist features, Android platform updates through June 2026, and security through 2028. Those are important distinctions to weigh when you're contemplating an $1,800 device, and so are the disappointments. That includes voice calling. My mother told me I sounded muffled on the Pixel Fold compared to the brighter, crisper sound of the Motorola Razr Plus, and I also found the Pixel's earpiece to have a pretty small sweet spot. It's also tough to lock or unlock the phone by feel because the power button and volume rocker have very similar textures. The edge of the screen protector makes itself felt with each swipe home on the inner display. That cheapens the whole experience. And the stainless steel of the spine and aluminum accents elsewhere are, of course, just as easy to scratch as we all knew they would be. But my biggest complaints come from the Tensor silicon Google chose to power this and every Pixel. The Fold gets warm with barely any provocation. Once, after I'd been watching a YouTube stream for about a half hour, I tried to back up my pictures in Google Photos, and the phone told me it was too hot to do that. In addition, I've had a variety of app crashes, including one failure to launch the camera that cost me a shot. I haven't been able to conclusively verify inferior cellular reception on this phone, but that's been a hallmark of Tensor from the beginning as well. Finally, despite a very large battery, I've found the staying power on the Pixel Fold only just acceptable. On my heaviest day, with nearly constant use of the camera to capture those samples and a lot of Google Maps navigation to boot, the Pixel Fold lasted only 8 hours. On a more typical day, with moderate mixed use, I made it 15. Not great, not terrible. Charging is also on the slow side, though thankfully wireless charging is here, and we love that. If it all sounds like too much compromise for too much cost, well, yeah. That's my take. Google first-generation products are tough to recommend to begin with, and the added complexity and fragility of a foldable means if something does go wrong, you'll have to deal with a support team whose reputation is genuinely terrible. And on top of all that, Samsung's answer to this product will be a 5th-generation foldable launching later this summer. Yeah, it looks samey, but it stands a good chance of being more reliable. That said, I don't think the Pixel Fold was meant to sell, as much as it was meant to lay the groundwork for a better future for all foldables. The camera is the best I've used on a folding phone. The design makes for a more comfortable experience more of the time, and the fit and finish are simply striking. As a foldable fan, the Pixel Fold's mere existence makes me even more bullish about the future of the category. And unless the Galaxy Fold 5 turns out to be a bigger shakeup than it currently appears, the Pixel Fold will almost certainly become my daily workday driver going forward. To make it my own, I'm using skins and cases from my sponsor, dbrand. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Mr. Mobile doesn't use cases, and ordinarily that's true. But the calculus changes a bit when you build one with a kickstand. This grip case lets me prop it up and compute away in a manner I'm sure the denizens of Robot City find hilarious. New skins are also available in the Robot City collection, but you know me, I need that leather to cosplay as a notebook. And as I demoed on my e-bike adventure, it does a fine job of protecting the phone from falls as well. Dbrand your device at the link in the description. My friends, the review will continue. Mr. Mobile has purchased a Pixel Fold to see how it ages in the long term, as the review sample from Google featured in this video is already on its way back to the company. As always, Google did not receive copy approval rights. It was not invited to provide editorial input. Google paid me nothing for this, and it did not see this video prior to publication. Google is a subject, in other words, not a sponsor. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this, and check out my Motorola Razr Plus review to see my take on a very different kind of foldable. Until next time, from Michael Fisher, thanks for watching. And stay mobile, my friends.